Good day. My name is Dr. Roland Gray, and I appreciate the opportunity to give this presentation before the FDA. I'm a fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics and a fellow of the American Society of Addiction Medicine. For the last 12 years, I have served as director of Tennessee's Physician Health Program and as a consultant to Renewal House, a long-term residential program for addicted mothers and their children, and the Davidson County Drug Court. I have no relationship with the pharmaceutical industries, and I will not be discussing any unapproved or off-label uses for any therapeutic agents today. We currently are in the midst of the worst drug epidemic we have ever seen in the United States, and it's a prescription drug epidemic. Although every community is involved in some way, Tennessee has been particularly hit hard by the overuse of these prescription narcotics. Today I want to share with you some of our data on some of the most innocent victims of this prescription drug epidemic. What this slide shows is the increase in infants that are born with neonatal abstinence syndromes. These are infants whose mothers took drugs during their pregnancy, which they become dependent on, and then the infants, when they're born, are also dependent on them and experience withdrawal. As you can see from this graph, in 1999, 2000, 2001, we had fewer than 100 cases a year reported. Over the last 2 years, we've had over 1,000 babies born in Tennessee with the neonatal abstinence syndrome. Between 2000 and 2010, there has been a tenfold increase in the numbers of babies born to mothers who are dependent on prescription narcotics. I feel that this data is compelling for another reason, in that we're talking of a class of citizens who, as a group, as a whole, are young or of childbearing age and should be experiencing few chronic health problems. This is the data from one of our neonatal intensive care units in Tennessee. This is from East Tennessee Children's Hospital's Haslam Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. And I'll just very briefly show you that in 2011, there were 135 admissions for neonatal abstinence syndrome. In 2012, there were 280 babies born with neonatal abstinence syndrome. Currently at East Tennessee Children's Hospital, about once a day a baby is admitted for neonatal abstinence syndrome. Now, the impact of neonatal abstinence syndrome on infant care is problematic in many areas, and one of these I'll point out to you is financial, and these are from our TennCare data in the state of Tennessee. TennCare is Tennessee's version of Medicaid, and the average cost to deliver a TennCare baby is $7,285. If you look at the babies, and there were 512 during calendar year 2010 who were born with neonatal abstinence syndrome, the average cost was $40,931. Another consequence of babies that are born with neonatal abstinence syndrome are the numbers of babies that are get into the custody of divisions of children's service of DCS within 1 year of birth. This was in calendar year 2010. Of the infants of the 56,498 babies born in calendar year 2010 in our TennCare population, 754 wound up in the custody of DCS within the first year of life. This was just a little bit over 1%. If you look at the numbers of infants with neonatal abstinence syndrome, 95 of 512 infants were in DCS custody within their first year of life. This was over 18% of those babies. Now, what are some of the long-term consequences? Although these babies at birth are very problematic, they have a lot of complications due to their withdrawal. We know that long-term, we're going to have these infants with us for quite a while. These babies are at risk for attention deficit disorder. Over the past 10 years, we've seen an absolute explosion in the diagnosis of attention deficit disorder, and this is at least one of the reasons for that in the state of Tennessee. These children have difficulty with hyperactivity. They have difficulty in transitioning between tasks, a lot of difficulty in impulse control. These children seem to lack a filter that gives them ability to stop and think before they get involved in activities that is going to cause them problems within the criminal justice system. A lot of difficulties with sleep disorders. They don't sleep well. They rarely get a good night's sleep. Sensory disorders, hypersensitivity syndrome, sensitive to sounds, tastes, smells. And very problematic. We know now, and this is over many years study, and our experience at Renewal House, is there's an extremely high risk of a future risk of addictive behavior in these children. When these mothers become dependent on prescription opiates, it doesn't affect just the mother. It affects the entire family, and particularly the children of these mothers. We know that if not some form of intervention takes place, that these infants will go on to become addicted themselves and get involved in other high-risk behaviors which will wind them up in the criminal justice system. We currently in the United States have over 2 million of our citizens incarcerated for drug-related crimes. Many of these children will wind up in the jails and institutions, and unfortunately now in the U.S., our jails and the criminal justice system has become holding cells for those with alcohol and drug problems and mental health issues. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I appreciate the ability to share with you briefly some of our results from Tennessee on infants with neonatal abstinence syndrome. And I come to you today on a personal level as a prayer for relief, that you will enact and do the right thing that will cut down on the overuse, misuse of this category of drugs. Thank you very much.